Eminem isn't just another rapper, he's the rap game's most dangerous man. For over 2 decades, he's built a reputation for ending careers with a single verse. Some rappers tried to challenge him, but few survived the smoke.
This is when I knew Eminem was real. He's like, I don't give a f, man. This is when I knew, I'm like, damn, Eminem is a real.
From Detroit's underground to global fame, Slim Shady turned diss tracks into destruction. His words didn't just sting, they ended record deals, ruined reputations, and erased artists from the charts. Every time someone thought they could go toe-to-toe with him, they learned the hard way that Eminem doesn't lose battles, he buries them. Whether it was Benzino, Ja Rule, MGK, or even powerful names like Diddy, Eminem proved no one was too big to get hit. But behind the savage lyrics and controversy lies a bigger question. What made him this relentless? What turned a poor kid from Detroit into the most feared name in hip-hop? Stick around, because what started as lyrical warfare became something much darker and much more personal. Before Eminem was a global icon, he was just a hungry kid from Detroit, trying to make a name for himself. Back then, no one took him seriously, not even the rappers from his own city. But that changed when he crossed paths with one of Detroit's strangest and loudest rap groups, Insane Clown Posse. What started as a small misunderstanding quickly turned into Eminem's first real feud, and it set the tone for the kind of artist he'd become, one who never forgets a slight.
This feud escalated beyond blow-up dolls when Eminem allegedly pulled an unloaded gun on an Insane Clown Posse employee outside a Detroit car audio store in June of 2000.
In 1995, a broke and unknown Eminem printed flyers to promote one of his early shows. On those flyers, he mentioned that ICP might perform, but there was one big problem: he never asked them. When the group found out, they were furious. They told M to back off and stop using their name for clout. Most people would have apologized and moved on, but not Slim Shady. That rejection stuck with him. It burned deep. Fast forward a few years later, Eminem blew up with the Slim Shady LP and suddenly had the whole world's attention. And that's when he got his revenge. On the Marshall Mathers LP, he fired shots at ICP, mocking their clown makeup, their image, and even their fan base, the Juggalos. He called them fake Detroit rappers who hid behind face paint and weak rhymes. The shots weren't just jokes, they were career-ending. After that, ICP became a punchline. Their credibility in mainstream hip-hop vanished overnight. Meanwhile, Eminem was becoming unstoppable, the underdog who turned every insult into ammunition. He didn't just win the beef. He made it clear that disrespecting him came with a price. And this was only the beginning, because after ICP, his next target wasn't just a rapper, it was one of the most powerful men in hip-hop media. And what happened next would completely change the industry's balance of power. By the early 2000s, Eminem wasn't just famous, he was untouchable. But even at the top, he couldn't escape hate. That's when a man named Ray Benzino Scott, co-owner of The Source magazine, decided to test him. What followed wasn't just a rap beef, it was a full-scale demolition that showed what happens when you go after Slim Shady publicly. Back then, The Source wasn't just any magazine. It was hip-hop's Bible, the gatekeeper that could make or break an artist with its famous mic ratings. A perfect 5 mics meant your album was legendary. But when Eminem dropped The Eminem Show in 2002, The Source only gave it 4 mics. That should have been fine. 4 mics was still excellent. But M took it as an insult. To him, it wasn't about numbers. It was about respect. He believed Benzino had purposely rated him lower because he was white. Benzino fired back, accusing M of being an industry plant, a face picked by the machine to profit off black culture. He called M fake, said he didn't belong in hip-hop. That's when Eminem decided to end his career. He dropped back-to-back diss tracks, The Sauce and Nail in the Coffin. They weren't just disses, they were autopsies. M mocked Benzino's age, his failed rap career, and exposed him for using The Source to promote his own music. The results were brutal. Benzino's reputation crumbled. Lawsuits hit The Source, its influence collapsed, and Benzino was forced out. Meanwhile, Eminem came out looking untouchable, a lyrical monster who could destroy both rappers and media giants. Years later, Benzino would break down in interviews, saying he didn't hate Eminem, but it was clear the damage was done.
I don't hate Eminem. I don't know him to hate him. I don't hate white people. I'm tired of this shit, man. It's just too much. I don't want to be the bad guy. I got an 8-year-old son that I dropped off at school this morning. Come on, man. Come on, man. I'm all right. All me and Eminem gotta do is sit down and talk with each other. Just sit down and talk.
The man who once judged the rap world became its biggest joke. But that wasn't the end of Shady's reign of destruction, because his next target was a chart-topping rapper with real street beef. And this time, the fallout would change hip-hop history. When Eminem teamed up with 50 Cent, it wasn't just a business move, it was a declaration of war. The year was 2002, and 50 was the hottest new rapper in the streets. He had the streets buzzing, the label scared, and a long-running feud with Ja Rule and Murder Inc. But what Ja didn't didn't realize was that by beefing with 50, he was also inviting Eminem, and that was a whole different kind of danger. Ja Rule had been on top. Hits like Always on Time and Mesmerize made him one of hip-hop's biggest names, but behind the success was a violent rivalry, real fights, street incidents, and even stabbings connected to the feud. When 50 signed with Shady Aftermath, Ja took it personal. He dropped a diss track called Loose Change, where he went too far, targeting not just 50, but Eminem's family. He called Emma's mom a user, dissed his ex-wife Kim, and even mentioned his daughter Haley by name. That was the mistake that ended him.
Are we ready? I guess not.
Eminem doesn't play about his family. He came back with Haley's Revenge, Bully, and a string of verses that turned Jay-Z's into a national joke. Eminem mocked him for copying Tupac's image, called him a fake thug, and ripped apart his credibility line by line. What made it worse was 50, and Dr. Dre backing him every step of the way. Together, they turned the feud into a 3-on-1 massacre. The results were instant. Jay-Z's career went from platinum to parody. The same rapper who once dominated radio was now the butt of every joke. Even his own label couldn't recover. Murder Inc. collapsed under legal issues and public backlash. Eminem didn't just defend his camp, he helped erase an empire. And if anyone thought Shady would slow down, they were wrong. Because the next time someone came for him, it wasn't about old street beef. It was about survival in a new era. A younger rapper dared to challenge the legend himself. And what happened next would show that Slim Shady still had the deadliest aim in the game.
It makes that person as irrelevant as people say I am in hip hop. Yeah. I make them bigger by getting into this thing where I'm like, I want to destroy him, but I also don't want to make him bigger.
By the late 2010s, most rappers knew better than to go at Eminem, but one man decided to test him anyway, Machine Gun Kelly. What started as a simple tweet turned into one of the most talked about rap wars of the decade, and by the end of it, MGK's entire career would take a turn no one saw coming. It all began in 2012, when MGK called Eminem's teenage daughter hot in a tweet. The internet exploded, and M quietly took note. Over the next few years, rumors spread that MGK had been blacklisted from major platforms connected to Eminem, including Shade 45, his Sirius XM station. Whether true or not, one thing was clear, Shady didn't forget. Years later, MGK dropped Rap Devil, a direct shot at Eminem. He mocked his age, his beard, and claimed M was out of touch with the culture. The diss went viral. For a moment, people thought MGK might have actually pulled off the impossible, until Slim Shady responded. Within days, Eminem released Kill Shot, and it was pure lyrical destruction. Every line hit like a weapon. M dismantled MGK's image, career, and ego, calling him a wannabe who only existed in his shadow. The internet crowned M the winner instantly. Kill Shot became one of the most viewed diss tracks in YouTube history, while MGK was booed at his own shows. Soon after, he abandoned rap completely, switching to pop punk and rebranding himself as a rock artist. Fans joked that Eminem literally changed his genre, but this wasn't just about bars, it was a reminder of Shay's power. Even decades into his career, he could end a rapper's momentum overnight. MGK learned what countless others already knew. Beefing with Eminem doesn't just hurt your reputation, it ends your chapter in hip-hop. Still, Shady wasn't finished, because his next target wasn't a rapper at all. It was someone from the political world, and the backlash would prove that Slim Shady's war zone had no boundaries. When it comes to rap feuds, Eminem has always played by his own rules, but no one expected his next battle to be with a political commentator. The target this time, Candace Owens. A conservative influencer known for controversy, Candace had built a career out of calling out celebrities, but she picked the wrong one to mess with. It all started when Eminem sent a legal notice to stop a political candidate from using Lose Yourself at rallies. Candace jumped in, blasting him on social media and calling him a washed-up liberal puppet. At first, fans thought Eminem would ignore her, but Slim Shady doesn't let disrespect slide, no matter who it's from. On his 2024 album, The Death of Slim Shady, he name-dropped Candace on multiple songs, tearing into her politics, her hypocrisy, and her reputation for stirring chaos online. One lyric compared her to the Grand Wizard of hate groups, a sharp jab that went viral overnight. Candace clapped back, calling him Grandpa Shady and claiming he was out of touch and bitter. The feud exploded across the internet, with fans split between laughter and shock. Eminem's bars didn't just roast her, they reminded everyone that he was still fearless, unafraid to drag anyone, even outside rap, into his lyrical crossfire. But if Candace thought she was a tough opponent, she had no idea what came next, because Eminem's next target wasn't just a political figure, it was a powerful music mogul accused of darker things, and Slim Shady wasn't holding back.
Made a call to Diddy? Really? Yeah. I got Diddy's number, just hit him up. Yo, Diddy, what up? Never happened.
Eminem and Diddy's history has always been strange. A mix of respect, rivalry, and hidden shots that fans caught only if they were paying close attention. It started quietly, years ago when Eminem began name-dropping Diddy in lyrics that sounded like jokes but carried a sharp edge. Then, as scandals around the bad boy mogul grew darker, Slim Shady's bars started sounding more like warnings than punchlines. Back in 2000, on I'm Back, Eminem joked about Diddy and J-Lo in one of his most twisted fantasies. Funny on the surface, disturbing underneath, but years later, he'd take things much further. In Kill Shot, his brutal response to Machine Gun Kelly, Eminem dropped one of the coldest lines of his career. The day you put out a hit is the day Diddy admits he put out the hit that Pac killed. It wasn't just a diss, it was a loaded accusation, hinting at one of hip-hop's darkest conspiracies. When the infamous footage surfaced in 2024 showing Diddy assaulting his ex, Cassie, Eminem saw an opening. In the death of Slim Shady, he threw barbed wordplay about RP with too many essays, a slick line that fans decoded as calling Diddy a predator. The internet lit up, praising M for saying what others were too scared to. Once again, Slim Shady was the only A-list rapper willing to speak the unspeakable. For years, whispers linked Diddy to violence, corruption, and manipulation, things most artists wouldn't dare mention, but Eminem's never been most artists. He doesn't care about alliances, labels, or gatekeepers, and that's exactly why Diddy, one of hip-hop's most powerful men, became his latest target. But this feud wasn't just about exposing someone else's sins, it revealed something deeper about Eminem himself, a man who built his legacy on truth no matter how ugly it gets. Because when the smoke clears, the question remains, how does a rapper so fearless keep winning while staying completely alone? That's where the next part of this story begins. After all these years and all these feuds, one thing is clear, Eminem doesn't lose. But it's not luck or shock value keeping him on top. It's strategy, fearlessness, and a brutal kind of honesty that no one else in rap can match. Most rappers fight for clout. Eminem fights for dominance. He studies his enemies, turns their own words against them, and exposes every weakness they try to hide. It's not just diss tracks, it's psychological warfare. When Slim Shady goes after someone, he doesn't need a crew or industry backing. He isolates his targets, breaks them down, and makes sure the world laughs while he does it. That's what makes him terrifying. He's not just trying to win, he's trying to erase you. His delivery blends comedy, anger, and raw truth in a way that makes even his opponents admit defeat. Every punchline cuts deep because it's rooted in something real. But underneath the chaos, there's another layer: honesty. Eminem never pretended to be perfect. He raps about his addictions, his insecurities, his pain, and his flaws. That's why he connects. Fans see authenticity, and enemies see danger. You can't cancel a man who's already confessed everything. That's the secret to his survival. While others tried to hide behind image and hype, Eminem built a career on saying what everyone else was too scared to. Every battle from Benzino to Diddy wasn't just about power. It was proof that in a world full of masks, truth still wins. But that same truth comes with a price, because the more he exposed others, the more isolated he became. And that's where the story turns from dominance to reflection, because maybe the only person Eminem hasn't fully destroyed is himself. Eminem's career reads like a war report. Victories everywhere, survivors nowhere. He's outlasted every rival, dodged every downfall, and stood his ground through eras where others faded out. But when you look closer, the cost of being unstoppable becomes clear. For every opponent he buried, a piece of himself went down too. Behind the fame, the records, and the sharp-tongued punchlines, there's a man who spent his entire life fighting ghosts, both real and internal. The same anger that fueled his success also built walls around him. He's earned respect through fear, not friendship. Rappers praise his skill but avoid his name. Even collaborators know, one wrong move, one stray comment, and they could be his next verse. It's lonely at the top when everyone's too afraid to stand beside you. That's the price of being a legend who shows no mercy. And yet, for Eminem, that isolation is power. He doesn't chase trends, cosigns, or approval. He built an empire off raw truth, and he never stopped defending it. That's why he's still here. When most of his enemies became footnotes, Eminem's name only grew louder. His downfall never came, because he never gave anyone enough room to pull him down. Still, you can't help but wonder, after decades of war, what's left to fight for? Eminem's proven everything. He's destroyed everyone. Maybe the final battle isn't with another rapper at all. Maybe it's with himself, learning how to live without needing an enemy. Because when the smoke clears and the noise fades, one fact remains. Eminem didn't just survive hip-hop's chaos, he became it. And that's the price of being truly unstoppable. Eminem's story has always been more than rap. It's a study of power, pain, and survival. He came into hip-hop as an outsider and left it on his own terms. But after destroying so many opponents, fans can't help but wonder, did he build a legacy or a cage? Every victory added to his legend, but it also pulled him further from the world around him. The same energy that made him unstoppable also made him unreachable. When people talk about Eminem today, they speak with both fear and respect. His pen is still sharp, but the laughter, the shock value, even the rebellion, it's quieter now. He doesn't chase fame anymore, he chases purpose. But in a culture built on collaboration, being untouchable can start to feel a lot like being alone. Maybe that's the trade-off. True greatness demands distance. Still, No one can deny what he's done for the art form. He pushed hip-hop's limits, forced it to accept uncomfortable truths, and proved that skill will always outweigh image. For every name he buried, a new standard was born. So when people ask, is Eminem still relevant? The answer is simple. Relevance fades, but legacy doesn't. Slim Shady may not have many friends left in the game, but his shadow still covers it. And that's the double-edged truth of his story. Eminem didn't just change hip-hop, he became the warning label for anyone who thought they could survive it.